All right. Okay. All right. Okay. That's for the nitpicker. I had a guy comment, "Oh, it sounds like a Peggy Lee song." You say, "All right, okay." Uh, the reason I do that is to catch your attention, and you won't miss the first sentence. Okay. A lot of when I was in tech school, and then I went to other schools for the company. The guy would always come to the front of the room. And he'd say, "All right, gentlemen, okay," and then he'd start talking. By that time, he had your attention. That's all it is. It's a habit from having other people do it to you or do it to me. Okay. Now, what you're looking inside of is a command radio, and it has the original flower pot caps. And I showed you how to grind the top off these things, repack them, and put them in. And what I want to talk to you about today is repacking capacitors, or restoring a radio. Now, this guy did a really good video. Got to give him credit. Old guy, and he says, "Who cares? What does it matter?" And he spells out the reasons why you shouldn't get too crazy with restoring a radio or rebuilding it. And he says nobody ever sees the inside. Okay, and he takes a radio and he shows the front of it. He goes behind and he makes the point where no one's ever going to lift the chassis up and look inside. Okay, now first of all, you got to recap a radio. Whether it's up to you, it is up to you whether you want to take the capacitors apart and put new capacitors inside and then put it back together. Now, I'm going to argue the case where if you recap this radio, other than using these, putting them inside these cans, okay, it'll be a freaking mess, because I bought a radio where somebody started to recap it by getting rid of these pots and just putting capacitors in. Now, when you get rid of the pots, you get a little bit of room. But if you notice the way these resistors are on terminals, this thing is not laid out like a regular radio. This radio was made to be quick production for World War II. Okay? So I got one that somebody didn't care how they recapped it, and it was a nightmare. So I took it apart and I used the pieces to make another radio. So what they had done to it, they had made it unusable. Okay? Now, this guy's absolutely right. A regular radio, if you just put the newer caps in the same places as the old caps, that's good enough. Nobody's going to ever open the radio up. And he's absolutely right. You have these nitpickers, and I want to get into nitpickers again. These people constantly make rules up. Well, you got to use this one type of capacitor. Oh yeah, and you got to use this, and you got to put it inside the old case, and they're making these rules up because they want to extend the feeling that they're saving the past, and they're connected to the past. Now, when you buy an old radio and you rebuild it, or you collect them, you're trying to stay connected with the past. Okay, I'm going to break that to you. And when you do get the radio working, there's nothing on there. I did mention the Grand Ole Opry, and then maybe a Zoomer radio out of Canada. But other than that, you might have an oldie station near you, but there's nothing really worth listening to if you're older on AM or FM radio. Okay, now if you're into classical music, okay, we can argue that. Well, I have this classic station near me and I like to put that on at night. Basically, radio, most of television, is total crap when you get older. And if you do like to keep up with television and the newer shows, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have cable or unlimited streaming. Okay, so that's the way everything's going. It's going to cost you money. You can only watch one channel at a time, and you probably record one other one or whatever, but you can only watch one channel at a time. So all the money you're spending, if you divide it out by the amount of hours you can actually sit there at the couch, okay, and watch these programs, you're being screwed, you're being hosed, okay, for what you're paying for. Now, I use an antenna system, and I get all the different channels. I can get all the sports events. Well, you don't get the special boxing. No, I don't, okay? But NASCAR races, and that's on there. The football games, the baseball games, they're there with the really horrible commercials. But I just want to tell you, my point of view is absolutely, you want to recap the radio. You don't have to put capacitors inside the old capacitors. Go look at some of the recapping guys. They're really fanatical, And when you look at the inside of the radio, it looks identical to the day it was made. Okay, and then they put it in a cabinet and no one can see that. But it's in their mind. They created these rules, so they're going along with these rules. And this one guy really went after it. And he has several reasons. He really did a good video, okay? I don't do that kind of video. I just do opinions. I show you what I'm making. I do it that way, where these guys actually do graphics and stuff. And he goes, he had a couple pictures of what the people are going to get, the reactions and stuff that people are going to have to saying that you shouldn't restore radio a certain way. And he's absolutely right. He's going to upset people because that's the way they believe it should be done. But I'm telling you, collecting old radios is you're trying to keep a link to the past. Okay? And I have, I showed you back there is my power supply for this thing. And I have dynamotors. I could hook this thing up and put a dynamotor on and have it work just like it did in the aircraft. All original. Okay? And remember I told you I bought this high-priced knob for the front of it. You know, I can go 100%. And I turn this on just before bedtime, and I go around on the 80-meter hams, and I listen. Sometimes I got a good conversation going, I listen. And sometimes it's just Fox News repeaters. I just turn it off. Okay? I don't want to hear about politics anymore because it's gotten so insane, and I try to stay sane in this insane world. It's very tough, but I just wanted to show you, if you do a command radio and you start taking stuff out, you will get more room, but you'll get so confused because you don't see the old place where the capacitor was. And if you're new to the radio, and this is a little bit tougher radio, it's basically an AA5, but it's not laid out like an AA5. It's laid out so they could build these things super fast. And these having 3 capacitors in each one, and this is 3, this is 3, this is 1, but most of them have 3 capacitors inside. And the wire goes over to the capacitor, and the ground is the pod itself. So they make a really tight, small radio. So you come along and follow the gaffers, the gougers, whatever you want to call these people that got this radio. They take out the output transformer, and then they put a new one in there. Well, the old transformer is fine if you go into a speaker that's got a transformer. But what they do is they take this transformer out, and they put one in that they can go directly to the speaker. It's basically a nightmare. You know, get it fit in there, you're gutting it, it's no longer original, you're drilling extra holes. It's all up to you what you want to do. And I just want to clock in and say that when it comes to this radio, and you've never recapped a radio before, take these pots out one at a time, grind the top off them, and put the cap in it, and then put it back in place. All right. Otherwise, you're gonna go squirrely. Okay. If it's the first radio you ever recapped, you're gonna ruin it. Because I bought some of them, and I bought them specifically for parts, and I got them off eBay real cheap because the person went in there, and they got lost. You get lost very quickly because you have no real experience. And even if you have a lot of experience, and you have the schematics and they have pictorials for this radio, it's not an easy radio. It's a very easy circuit, but because the way they built it, it makes it a little bit crazier. You know, like I don't know if the other screws in here. You know, like this thing here. You wiggle this. This is the three coils. You know, RF amp, oscillator, and RF amp, mixer, and then the output of the mixer tuned. It's a three. The front end is 3 tuned or tri-tuned. Tri? Yeah, I'll say tri-tuned. We'll make that word up. But in other words, I just wanted to clock in, and that guy's got a really good. That video is really good. I was laughing when I'm watching it because he's going to ruffle a lot of feathers with it, and he knew he's ruffling feathers, and that's what you have to do to get a really good video. You have to be able to have a good an icon. Now I'm going to forget the name of the little picture, and you get people lured in. You lure them in with the title. Like I'm starting to do that now. You know, instead of I'll put basically some nasty remark in the title. You know, dunderheads on parade or something like that, like I did, and I got my 500 views. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm just getting curious to what people really want to watch. Do they want to watch you rebuild the radio? People claim they do, but go look at the videos where the little picture is cool. Right now, see, when you get older, you forget, like icon, or what the hell is it called? Well, anyway, the little picture, and you struggle to find certain words the older you get. But in other words, some people go right for the views. They want to make money. I'm just doing certain ones because this is what I find interesting, and that's what I do. And I notice people like me that have similar interests. Okay, and like I say, when you recap one of these, the only reason you want to use these cans is you could do one can at a time, and hopefully, you got 3 wires like on this one coming up to it. Doesn't matter where that wire goes. All 3 capacitors are the same. They all go to ground through this. So you're less likely to screw up a command radio if you cut the top off with a Dremel tool. I showed you in the video how to do that. And then also, this pot is the ground for the capacitors. I think I've said enough on this. Let me say, I think that's it. All right, that's it.